Hello, everyone. I wanted to invite a special guest here today that I actually met probably a couple of weeks ago, maybe a
Correct.
month or so ago, via my Instagram. That he reached out to me. Sounds like you do a lot of Airbnb. I wanted to have him over here today to talk about Airbnb because we hear there's so much failure and Airbnb is doomed and it's no longer works. So sounds like you have a secret sauce. Karthik is
Yeah.
your name.
Correct.
Let's start
Karthik
there.
Kumar. Yes.
Karthik Kumar.
Airbnb Bust.
There you go.
It's going
And
on.
I kind of wanted to unpack the whole Airbnb bust and the whole what's going on out there in the industry, and is it really dead, or can you still make money? And if so, what is your secret sauce? What are you doing different to succeed in doing what you're doing?
Right. First of all, I just want to give a little bit introduction about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Karthik Kumar. I'm located in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I live a nomadic lifestyle. I'm a real estate investor, specifically short-term rental or Airbnb investor. I started my career like a lot of people doing 9 to 5 and going to do the job right and save up some money and then realize, you know what, I can't be working for someone else for such a long time and I have to invest this so I can get retired or be my own business owner. That's when I came across short-term rentals and then started investing about it. And speaking about Airbnb Bust, I think everything happens for a good. That's how I think about it. Because if the more people are scared about it, the lesser the competition.
Of course.
And I wish more people are scared so I can kill it more out there. But in honesty, if you know how to invest right and where to invest, I see it as like now the situation is different than before.
How
Back
is it different?
like few years ago or something, you can literally put Airbnb anywhere and make money.
Mm-hmm.
Now because of the economy and people trying to save up money, and more and more people coming into Airbnb space and short-term rentals, it became competitive. But still there's a lot of room for investment, especially because there are more than 150 million guests travel around the world using Airbnb or other OTA platforms, but there are only over 4 million plus hosts. And Airbnb literally released a article saying they need more than 2 million hosts. But the reality is that more and more people love to travel and spend money than try to become host and be a business owner. The more I invested in this business, I realized entrepreneurship or people who want to invest in this are less compared to people who want to travel.
Why do you think so? There's clearly a need, according to Airbnb. They're
Correct.
saying what, 2 million more hosts
Yeah, 2
they
million
are
plus hosts.
needing.
Yeah.
Why do you think people that are hosts they're failing? What are they doing wrong?
I think it's lack of commitment or dedication, first of all, and also not understanding the markets, and also not traveling. Sometimes people don't travel; they stay in the same city
That's
or
interesting.
state. If you don't travel, you don't understand. I've been to all the 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have an edge over a lot of people, and also not able to figure out the designing part, pricing part, management part, not understanding Airbnb algorithm. And also people think, oh, this city is good. Oh, Austin, Texas is good. Oh, Asheville is good. It's not necessarily which city. Yes, city matters, but what location in this city actually is more important.
Let's touch base on that. How do you figure out what city and or location? What's your criteria? What do you go base off of to narrow down like this is my shiny star, that's where I'm
Right,
going?
that's a good question. When I started with Texas. I thought I looked up online. Just I traveled. It's kind of on my top of my head, which are like popular cities or states.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is up there, and rentals are not that high. And yeah, that's the criteria. I figured out. Okay, Texas is offers a lot of tourism. Austin, San Antonio, and then I also invested in Cincinnati, Ohio, and first one of my first properties back 2+ years ago when I used to tell people I invested in Cincinnati. Quite a number of people,
Why?
Cincinnati? Why? That's exactly why I invested, because you're thinking like that. And Ohio is, if you go and look up, Ohio is one of the top 10 popular states or cities for traveling, which was surprising for a lot of
What do
people.
people travel for? I guess what I'm trying to narrow down is there like a simple secret formula that I'm going to Cincinnati because whatever that because
Uh,
is.
Nothing specific. Cincinnati doesn't really offer much, but there are many variables why people go to. It is affordable, first of all,
Mm.
and also there is a lot of things to do in Cincinnati, like downtown, and there are restaurants, and it is popular for sports. People go for sports. Even Pittsburgh, when I invested, I didn't know about it. It is quite popular for football and basketball and stuff. And
So
I'm
then
not
are
a
they
big sports
seasonal?
person in that. Not necessarily. Oh yeah, it could be a little bit seasonal, not completely. The point is, it can go a little bit slow in winter. Right now, Ohio or Pittsburgh are not doing that great,
Mm-hmm.
but it picks up very good. The point is, when your investment is low, affordable, the bang for buck is always there.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I go with. I compensated with somewhere where it's affordable in the beginning, and also simultaneously invested in somewhere not too much less expensive, but also not highly expensive.
So a lot of areas that you do, you go based on sounds like seasonality, like based on whatever the football season is or basketball season is, and then certain times of the year you're okay with it being vacant because you made your majority of your money
Yeah,
during the busiest
even in
times.
low seasons, the most important thing I keep in mind is that when it's very affordable, the rents or mortgages in certain states or cities,
Mm.
you lower the price, and people are ready to book your listings when you lower the price.
So let's break that down for a second. High season. Let's pick. You said Austin. You have something.
I have in Austin, I have in Florida, I have in Nashville,
Okay, let's go
I have in more
Nashville
than 10
because
different states.
music, everybody's
Right,
familiar with that
correct,
area,
correct.
right? So high season, what are you charging in Nashville?
I was surprised. I opened it just few months ago. People are booking in June, May for more than $500 a night, 600, more than seven hundred
So
dollars a
you
night
haven't
too.
had a slow time because you just bought it. Sounds like.
Actually, it is a little bit slow now
Mm.
all over the U.S. because right after Christmas and holidays.
Mm.
But still, my criteria is it still getting booked some sort of way? That gives away how well that area might do. If you take my Fort Lauderdale house, my Nashville house, my Atlanta, Georgia house, they're still quite booked. But if you notice Gatlinburg and stuff, they're not doing that great during January or February.
So for the ones that aren't doing that great, I guess what have you had the longest? Which area?
Longest, I would say Florida and Texas.
Florida. Okay, so let's go to Florida.
And I have to tell you about Florida and Texas. Why I invested? If you see top five most visitor states or popular
Florida.
states, Florida and Texas is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the catch is in the beginning of my journey, I started investing in Florida and Texas. Now I've realized a lot of people could be thinking like me, and at the same time, what I did was, you know what? Let's change the strategy. Also, people make mistakes is they don't change the strategy. They keep on doing in same place and not understanding how things might be changing in the future.
So what are you changing?
I'm changing. Like, I opened a listing in Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm.
If barely any people actually invested in there, and I was surprised it's doing pretty well.
Now they're all flooding there after this
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly. It's affordable, and I've been to Baltimore, but when I check the numbers, analyze why is it so good,
Mm-hmm.
it's because it's very popular for food,
Mm-hmm.
restaurants. Seafood is very popular out there, and also it's only 30-40 minutes drive from Seattle. Sorry, Washington D.C.
Mm.
I get confused between
Washington.
yeah, so it's drivable distance to even Virginia. It's only 2-3 hours from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Now I started to invest more so on untapped areas. Right now I'm already open in Greensboro, If you talk about North Carolina, people know about Charlotte, people know about probably Asheville. Not many people know about Greensboro.
Why Greensboro?
Greensboro is because it's popular for museums, international civil rights. Was a big thing back in the days, in 1960s or 50s, and also it's in a drivable distance from Asheville, Raleigh, and also Charlotte. It's kind of in the middle. It's not too far from different lakes. North Carolina is very popular for lakes like Minnesota. So unless you don't try and figure out different areas and cities, you may not be able to know which one actually works for you and which one has less competition.
So, moral of the story: get off your butt, get
Yeah,
on a plane,
right.
travel to the destination, pick whatever area, doesn't really matter, and
Absolutely.
see what speaks to you.
Yeah, in reality, even if you don't have enough income or money, you don't need to even travel by taking the flight and stuff. Honestly, if you are in North Carolina or in Texas, when I was in Texas, it was only few hours drive to Oklahoma, and from North Carolina, it's not far off to South Carolina. You can also go to Tennessee. It's drivable distance to Kentucky. At least drive to neighborhood states. It's like only 3 4 hours, probably a couple $100.
I actually apply similar concept to when I buy my properties.
Right.
I will fly out, I will go to restaurants, I will talk to bartenders, I will
Yeah.
talk to waiters.
Yep.
You get the best intel
Exactly.
in town. And people just
Exactly.
like, they're like, what's your secret sauce? I'm like, that is my secret sauce.
Right.
Get off your couch.
Right.
Get out there, talk to people, shake hands. Like, I don't care who they are because they're the ones that are boots on the ground. So get your intel
Absolutely.
from
And
them.
one more thing I really want to hammer on things is, even if you're an introverted person, what you can do is literally the house I closed in Nashville, Tennessee was from one of my Facebook contacts. So there's so many opportunities out there. If you don't want to go to networking events or meet up, or you're not like active person, just join those Facebook groups and post what you want. There's so many times I got solid information from those groups, and I posted, hey, listen, I was working with a realtor or two for Nashville house, but I realized, wait a second, let me post it on this group, maybe I'll get some information out there. There is a reason why they're in those groups, because those realtors might understand the short-term rentals better than the regular realtors. So I figured out immediately, I knew when I spoke to her that she understands not just the market of Nashville real estate, but also she understands the short term rental area. So we closed the deal on the first shot, and that's been a great investment for the year
I guess what's
2023.
the difference between them? The regular realtor and the one who understands. What are you looking for in that realtor?
A realtor who understands, not necessarily they have to understand the everything short term rental game, but at least they should have they should go and figure out and talk to the people, because they're the locals. They know who does Airbnb short term rentals. They might have made some contacts, and also they have contacts with the city, and they might have uh, sold the properties to other investors who did Airbnb and short term rentals, and they might have grabbed some information from that.
You want some experience. At the
Yeah,
end of
you
the
want
day.
some experience under the belt. It's all about, all I've noticed is confidence takes a lot of takes everything to the next level, in my opinion.
Right. Now, how do you deal with, like, I'm sure you have some horror stories with the guests.
Yeah.
You want to tell us any horror stories?
One of the horror stories was, people ask me, how do you do it in so many different states by
Well, there's
yourself?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing, people don't take risk. I love to take risks and learn from it, calculated risk. So I'll tell you this scenario where it actually happened in Baltimore, Maryland. So this lady stayed through Airbnb, and we extended a couple more days. She wanted to stay, and she says all of a sudden, I don't want to leave. What do you mean you don't want to leave? I don't have anywhere to go. I mean, you can't do this. What do you mean you can? You don't have anywhere to go. So I let her stay for a day more, hoping she would leave. She's still not leaving.
Did she pay at least?
No, I let it slide. I thought that way at least I could get her out by giving her an extra day for free. I actually gave her 2 days for free to see if she's gonna get out. Then what I did was I sent my assistant, who lives nearby, to just go talk to her and knock the door.
Mm.
So I sent her 2 days in a row and put pressure on her. And we also called the cops. The cops come and say, "Oh, we can't do anything about it." My assistant was not confident enough to tell him the whole story. I told him, "Listen, we're gonna call the cops again. You have to explain the situation correctly because she doesn't have an agreement. It's literally her stay's over. She's a squatter."
Mm.
It's like, I'll do it. By the time, and also I had all this. Biggest mistake people do is they try to talk everything on the phone and there's no evidence. So
He said, she said, yeah.
anything I was conversing with her, I put it in text messages.
Right. Now it's in writing.
So the person who came to help us out saw all the text messages and told her, "Listen, he seems to be right. I think you should leave." And she left. Every time I tell to my clients or friends, record it or have it in conversation, it can protect you later.
So was that through Airbnb?
Yeah, it was
that
through
reservation.
Airbnb.
So did they not step in and say, "Let's kick her out for you"?
I spoke to Airbnb. They said, "Call the cops. We're sorry what you're going through." They can't do anything.
They don't do
They don't
anything.
do
So
anything.
what are they good for?
They're good
What
for
do they do?
they're good for making money. Just joking. Just
Other
joking.
than making money, do they have your back in any other
They have
situation?
back if any damages happen, if any issues happen. The people complain about Airbnb. Honestly, we're all making great money and short-term rentals because of Airbnb. I give them a lot of credit. Today,
Right.
I don't need to work for anybody. It's because of Airbnb.
Right.
But you can't expect everything to be perfect through Airbnb. There are times they could be guest oriented. There are times they could be host oriented. It's like hit and miss sometimes. I have a guest who came and stayed, and they complained, and I had every time my cleaner goes through, I I say, if you're text messaging me, just put it on iMessages or text, but send me the pictures on WhatsApp, so it will be time stamped, so it doesn't look all
That's true.
cluttered on the messages
Mm-hmm.
where they can track if I submit for evidence. So these guys left saying, "Oh, it doesn't look as great as in pictures." Literally, we sent it pictures to Airbnb. They said, "We're not, as per the policy, we're not going to refund them." Luckily,
So they're looking for refunds.
yeah, or something. And these guys paid $900, and the same dates we opened back. You might think, if they booked and it's not canceled, how can you get others to book it? Is because we opened the dates from Verbo and Booking.com and direct booking too, so someone else booked for the same day. So I made more just by having proper evidence.
So document everything.
Document everything. Text message. Don't call just for a second, but always put in text. Even if you call, depending on your state and stuff, I can talk about it, but just have it handy by recording it.
Okay. Now, do you have to have, I guess, two questions, and we'll cover both of them. Insurance and then cleaning. Let's start with the cleaning before we jump into insurance. Like does Airbnb have their own people that have certain standards that you have to hire, or do you bring your
No,
own
I just
cleaning
hire
crew?
through a app called as Thumbtack, and it's literally just one app. That's all you
Okay.
need. Now they're gonna get more famous, I believe so, and yeah, they're all background checked. I've never ever had an issue with a cleaner or a handyman. Maybe there's few issues here and there with back and forth exchanges, not understanding each other or miscommunication, and we part ways. But nothing more than that where things became, pretty bad. It's never like that because they're always background checked. You always leave a review. You're always on the upper hand because you can leave a review. They cannot leave a review for you, being a host.
Gotcha. Okay, walk me through. I'm brand new. I want to buy Airbnb. I narrowed down my area. Let's say I'm buying in Bellevue, Washington, because there's Microsoft and Amazon and
Right.
Facebook, and I'm going to bet on the fact that, in restaurants and the malls, whatever, that those corporate housing people are going to move in and live there. Where do I begin? How do I start? What should I be aware of and worried about?
In terms of investment, I would say you just need to go through sources like AirDNA, Rabu, and different pricing tools to analyzing tools or ODA tools to figure out how good that market can do. And AirDNA gives a very broad
What is it again?
AirDNA.
Okay.
Uh,
Air DNA.
yeah, and
Interesting. Never heard of
yeah,
it.
you pay extra for them to get more analysis of the area and the property.
Okay.
And I have an assistant. I taught her how to analyze it and
Mm-hmm.
get me the report. Now I don't have time to analyze the
Of course.
deals. She goes and gives me the report, and then I it's like, you know what? Eh, investment is not like no one can tell you, oh, that's perfect.
Mm.
It still comes down to a little bit of risk all the
Of
time.
course.
You have to understand how good is that area, how popular it's going to come out in the future. There's some areas that are growing and becoming better. And for example, near Frisco, Texas, in a couple of years, you'll have new Universal Studios. So probably this is the time you want to invest near Dallas or Frisco, Texas. Not solely for Universal Studios. My point is to understand in the future what kind of things might pop up in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And especially you want to make sure it's not in a unsafe neighborhood. You could be in a great city or location, but if it is in the hood and stuff, it can backfire a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
and and also making sure I don't necessarily have too many people around me, because neighbors can be an issue if things are going great for you, but there could be a couple of occasions people might feel like their privacy is being invaded, or too many people are coming, and all these neighbors can come after you together. Your business could be going great.
You had that?
And
Have you had that?
I had that, not necessarily. Yeah, in Georgia house, I had that actually. I had to shut it down. That's when I've learned my experience. That was like, man, this is going so good. This can be happening. But everything is an experience. That's great. Now I realize. Now when I purchased Nashville, it's in a dead end. This is a great advice in my opinion. If I knew this before, it would have been great. It is in a dead end, so there is nobody who could be going in and out traffic. Second, there's no guest on the left side, and the neighbors in the front are quite a distance. And I have to only worry about is the right side neighbors. I already befriended them when I went there. Hey, if you have any issues, let's talk to each other. I didn't even go that route. Hey, listen, I might be traveling. I didn't even tell them Airbnb in the first place. You don't need to tell them. I was like, listen, I befriended them. I was like, hey, here's my number. If you have any issues or anything, let me know. If I have anything, we'll let you know too. And keep it more simple. And there's only one neighbor I need to worry about. That's also a little further away. So, still on top of it, I make sure I control what kind of people I allow and vet. So, end of the day, it comes down to not just location, but also who you're surrounded, and also it should not be like too many people. That's why I don't necessarily do apartments either. It can become very cumbersome. I make sure if I'm doing apartments, I try to get them in the bulk.
So you do condominiums and or apartments?
I only do single family homes.
Only single, because you don't want to be at the mercy of the HOA.
Yeah, HOA or other people walking in. You never know where problems come from. The more people around, the more problems.
So when you buy your properties, you making sure, I'm assuming, they're not in a HOA community.
Yeah, absolutely no HOA.
Okay.
But there is a caveat to that. I still try to avoid it, but there are some communities that people don't know about. Like in my Orlando, it's in a resort, Florida. It's specifically designed for Airbnb and short-term rentals, HOA community. So all of them know about it. So
Okay.
you can. It's not like, oh, HOA, I'm going to stay out of it. Preferably stay out of it, but there is always exceptions.
Exception to the rule.
Exceptions don't necessarily apply to the rule, but if you get in a great area where the community is specifically designed for Airbnbs, because Orlando is very vacational destination, and Kissimmee especially, there are a lot of resorts coming up, and these resorts have HOAs, but I had zero issues with them.
What do you do with cities that come up and say, like, Seattle's notorious for that there's no short-term rentals allowed anymore?
Oh wow, that's tricky. All of the areas I've invested, majority of them have less strict regulations.
Okay.
Even if here's the biggest thing people don't know about. When I try to invest in Austin, people don't do enough research or talk about it. Oh, Austin, you can't do. I said I was doing in Austin, Texas. They're trying to point fingers at me. Oh, friends, couple of friends. Oh, you can do it in Austin, Texas. There are strong regulations. Or the part of the group I was in. No, that's not necessarily true. You can do in downtown Austin, which is in Austin city limits. If it is outside of Austin city limits, there is no regulations. So we got it like 15, 20 miles from downtown Austin, near a Tesla area. There's no regulations. We've been doing for 2 years, never had an issue. Obviously, it's not gonna do as well as close to downtown, but that's something you have to take into consideration that it's not regulated.
Now, how many homes do you have now?
I own 4, 5 of them, four specifically working on the fifth one, but I have more than 12 uh, all Airbnb short-term rentals. Arbitrage, eight of them. Ninth one I'm currently working on it. So 4 I own and 8 I arbitrage.
What is like? What do you mean arbitrage?
Arbitrage is like if you're a landlord or someone, I reach out to them, hey, if your house is available, and uh, convince them and tell them how we operate short-term rentals and protect their houses more than regular tenants who could give you a lot of trouble if you have to evict and stuff. You don't never have to go through that, and we take care of your properties and get permission in writing that we will pay them on time and their houses are always clean every time a guest leaves, and we protect their houses with cameras and security.
Now, what does landlord get out of this? Because there's clearly risk involved. If somebody trips and falls and breaks their leg, it's landlord's on the line.
Not necessarily
Landlord's
if you
getting
get
the
right
line.
insurance. I have proper insurance. It's one of the best insurance out there. It's like it covers the landlord. It covers all kind of liabilities, slips and falls, and everything. Like it's crazy. People don't get right insurance. They get some short-term rental insurance. No, you should get right insurances.
What is right insurance?
Short-term rental insurance. You can Google what are the best short-term rental insurances, like Safely, Proper Insurance. I went with Proper Insurance because they cover all year round. If you get insurance with them for they're specifically designed for short-term rentals. They're only for short-term rentals. Like if you do, and even for arbitrages, regardless of you own or arbitrage, they cover you. They not only cover you, they cover for the guest damages, furniture, and one of the awesome things about this short-term rental insurance is that, let's say due to some natural disasters or thunderstorm, you could not make money out of it, they cover you for that too. And it's such a funny story. They were telling me before I signed up that a guest brought dogs in that they're not supposed to. Pets are not allowed. They dug under the fence, went into the neighbor's house, bit the neighbor, and they called law enforcement, and that dog bit the law enforcement too.
Oh my God, that's
So there are
terrible.
crazy stories. People try to sue you for a lot of different things, and they got your back. So honestly, landlord has nothing to worry about. Literally, I got a message from my landlord today after I made her house look great. She's like, "Wow, no way! You can't be making my house look so good." She was very happy that I'm taking care of it.
So what does she get out of it? There's obviously, probably, most likely, you get a percentage or you give them a percentage.
No, I don't give any percentage.
So what does landlord get?
They're getting just regular rent like anybody else.
Whatever rent. So if they were asking $2,000 a month, you're going to give them $2,000 a month. And let's say for that month you rented it, or you short-term rented it for $5,000, you get the $3,000 out of
Yeah,
it.
actually, in my Georgia house, my rent is like 3K with utilities and stuff, probably around 4.5K. There are times it made 12K and 13K. So I netted 6, 7. My highest net profit for a Georgia house was 8.5K, 7.5K, especially in summer. So coming back to the landlord question is, landlords sometimes, if it is in a great area, I don't want to be petty about a couple $100. Hey, listen, let's sort this out. I'm okay to pay you $200 or $300 extra. I try to avoid that, but if I knew that's a good investment, I don't mind paying them. But here's the important thing is, I could be their last tenant. With these regular tenants, maybe they leave after a year, maybe they destroy your house, they don't leave the house, even though everything could be right, you still have to go through the eviction process. You don't have to worry about that with me because I'm already making money on your house. So it's like a win-win situation. Your house is spotless. It has eyes on the property, not just myself, but assistant. There are cameras. So you are covered with insurance. And you can come check out the property whenever you want. With tenants, I have regular tenants too. They don't take care of your houses like the way you want to. And it becomes too old. I also tell them, listen, there is a scenario where after a few months, you know what, I want to sell the property. That happened to one of my clients, and they were able to sell it like this.
What happens to all the furniture? So you're upfronting money for the furniture, for sprucing the building up, making it look nice, clearly, like whatever it needs to be ran as a B&B. Do you put that money up front?
I used to do that. This is the biggest thing that almost nobody's teaching. Probably I'm going to just tell it out.
Teach us.
I find properties only that are semi-furnished.
Semi-furnished. Okay.
If it is in a great area, I don't mind putting, but I just try to avoid it completely. I did that in the beginning to just understand the game, how to put things, everything from scratch. People not understanding there's so many houses out there which are semi-furnished and fully furnished. This is like giving away
Where do you
really
find them?
very important secret
Yeah,
sauce.
that's why you're here today.
I don't mind. I'm here to give value. I just got my client. He signed up a week ago, and we closed the deal for him in Austin, Texas. It came 100% furnished, and
Oh.
he's already live on Airbnb. So I'm just shocked how people are not looking for it. There's so many houses, but it's a little bit tricky finding a house which is already furnished or semi-furnished and also open for Airbnbs. But still, it is doable. But all my requirement is, listen, don't be so particular about it has to be almost very furnished. Even if it is 50-60% furnished, for my North Carolina one in Greensboro, it was like 50-60% furnished. So I had to put only like 3-4K. But if you have to put everything from scratch for somebody else's house, that's a bit too much. But I have done that. At the same time, people ask me that question, what would you do if you have to end your lease or something? That happened in my Cornelius, North Carolina house. By the time I already made 20-30K, so it didn't even matter to me. At the same time, North Carolina storage spaces are kind of less expensive. We got it for 50 or $100, or probably a couple $100, and that's like in the span. Let's say you had that storage for 3-4 months. That's like only $800 or $1,000. By that time, we slowly put that on marketplace, Craigslist, friends, and also people who are moving in. My landlord wants to get a regular tenant at that point because the community was not happy with us. We actually sold a couple of items, few items for the tenant who was going to take over the house. There are a lot of variables that you can figure out. And biggest thing is like, I had a client, oh, what would you do in this situation? I never really thought about that, is because I was like, I do think about it, but I was like so hungry to learn how it works, how I want to understand how Airbnb and short-term rental works. So I was more enthusiastic about that than what's going to happen in the future.
Now, what do you make per month, if you don't mind me asking? Because you know there's going to be a lot of curious folks out there
I
right
make
now.
30-40K net profit a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's off of your 8 properties that you work with landlords,
12
and then
properties total, including the ones
between
I
the
own.
ones you own and the
Yeah,
ones you work with
right.
landlords. 40, 30, 40.
30 to 40K net profit.
What about on your
sometimes
slow
in slow
season?
seasons? Yeah.
That's funny.
Slow seasons between 20 to 30K. January has been a little bit slow, but still, it's gonna pick up in February. I don't know if I'm allowed to say my net profit, but I'll say it. That's fine.
Slow season, when is that?
It depends. January is slow season for a lot of, almost all of them. January is slow, but I balance it out by investing in the East Coast, Midwest, and the South. So what happens is, when it's pretty cold in the East Coast, like in Pittsburgh, Ohio, my southern properties do better. So it's like,
Offsets each other.
yeah, it's like balances out.
Now, what's your, I don't know if you've ever looked at that or not, what's your average occupancy rate?
70 to 80% our average. And very slow months like January, like probably 60%. But still, that. Here's the thing with my Pittsburgh, it's a little bit slow now. But the point is, since my rent is so low, even with 4 or 5 bookings, I make it up. I never lost on my Pittsburgh house till now. I've been doing for over 2 years.
Till now, what happened now?
No, I'm like,
Oh, in general, you haven't lost
I
money.
haven't lost anything. Even if I lost, that's like $400, $500 because the investment is low. So there's always bang for buck. That's why always tell people there are people who are teaching like, oh, we do only grade areas, high end properties. Don't do that when you're starting. You have to understand how you make a lot of mistakes in the beginning. So you rather make those mistakes in your lowest investment where even if you make a mistake, it doesn't hurt your bank.
What would be, I guess, one area you wouldn't want to touch or go to? Anything in particular where you're like, I'm not
I mean,
gonna
every
go there?
state has that type of thing.
Or state, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to make Californians bad or something, feel bad. I would just avoid California in general. Like, don't get me wrong, people. I know people do kill it in San Diego, Long Beach. California is a great state,
Mm.
but in my opinion, I just try to avoid it. Laws are not favorable, and when things go south, and also taxes are high, and regulations are getting pretty strict. But again, if there is a great investment in California in the future, I wouldn't shy away from it. But my brother lives in California actually. He loves California. But I just California, even Arizona, again, I'm not making a blanket statement. There are always areas in any state that could be a great investment. But ideally, generally speaking, I would avoid Arizona too.
Is it because
Arizona is
oversaturated with?
Arizona is saturated, but not the whole state. There are, you can always say, oh, not necessarily true. In my area, is good. Yeah, there could be, you could be an outlier or something different. But Arizona, I do it. I still do decent in Arizona, but you gotta understand, it's not that great, especially in Phoenix and stuff. It kind of saturated, and also on top of it, I would say it's too hot. I Texas, I lived in Austin. It's like I was sweating and stuff.
Mm.
But the catch was that wait, still my Austin was booking in hot summer air times, even San Antonio. I applied the same strategy to Arizona. Wait, maybe in the summer it could stay slow, but Arizona is even more hotter. I got kind of headache in Phoenix, Arizona, but it's a beautiful state. Awesome things to do. There's Flagstaff. Flagstaff is less, what do you call, less severity in hotness. It's not that hot compared to Phoenix. There's
Mm.
also Sedona. Sedona, Arizona is one of my favorite places. But just people psychologically think in summer we want to avoid Arizona because it can get very hot.
It's interesting you're naming all those areas because now that I think about it off the top of my head, there's few people that I can think of that have Airbnbs that said Airbnb is dead. Those were the states they were in. They
Oh
were in
wow,
Arizona, they were in California, and they
right,
were failing. So again, it sounds like because it's oversaturated,
right.
and then there are certain municipalities that put certain rules and regulations in
Mm-hmm.
place
Right.
for you to fail. It seems
Yeah.
like as a
And
host.
Phoenix is also expensive state
Mm.
in rentals and stuff. Here's
Mhm.
the thing: the people, even if it is not a great city for short-term rentals and stuff, or maybe it becomes slower in certain seasons, at least try to find areas which are not high in rents or more or investments.
Mhm. That's pretty good. I like what we unpacked today. Anything else you could think of the
I,
top of your head?
I would say most important thing a lot of people miss out is not having a very good attorney. Attorneys are very
Mm.
important because your house, your business might be doing great.
Mhm.
We never know what kind of troubles come from anywhere. You should always be ready for that. So always build nice contacts with attorneys who can do all over the country. Go meet your attorneys. Meet them in person. Network with them. Build some kind of connection with them. If you're in Texas, find out the best attorneys. If not, people always. This is what I've learned. When you found there is a there is a quote by this very popular chess grandmaster: when you find a good move, f- wait and find the best move.
Interesting.
So just because you think it's good doesn't mean there's not best out there. Don't get carried away by the good. Look for the best one simultaneously while working on the good one. So I would say attorneys, insurances, and also cameras are very important. Security cameras. I don't just put ring cameras, because if your ring app suddenly stops working, you don't have access to your property. So I have second brand that I put in my house, security systems. It's ADT security systems. So as a backup, if Ring doesn't work, I have ADT. Always have backup options. I have cleaners backups, handyman's backups. Everything is a backup. The reason I also invest in different states is because if regulations get stricter, if tornado happens, like in Hawaii, if you have invested, a lot of people don't want to go to Hawaii after all the stuff,
Right.
tornado and stuff that happened. So, and also, what if your city shuts down or your state shuts down because of any reason? I don't want to put all the eggs in one basket. And also, I don't want to be my own competition. So, number three important things that you should take care of in short term rentals or Airbnb or real estate. Number one is attorneys. Number two is insurance. Number three is your security and cameras. That's what protects you in the long run. They may not give you money, but they will help you protect your money.
I know you and I talked about it, and I want to bring this up a little bit. Like certain features in a house that, like, if it doesn't have that, like, I know I can tell you, if an apartment complex has a pool, I generally don't like to buy them because to me that's a liability.
Oh yeah, right.
Now you look at it a little
Yeah,
different,
right.
right?
Yeah.
What are the certain features in a house that you're looking for that you're like, I'll buy this, but I won't buy that?
All the houses I bought, out of five of them, four of them have pool in a single family. Because with the pool, especially in Nashville, mine does so well because of pool and hot tub. That's like a hot cake. People want that. That's like very desirable. Because if you go and check in Nashville or anywhere, that's a very lethal combination of having a hot tub and a pool. People love, if you book 10 to 12 people, some are having great time in hot tub, some are having great time in the pool. It can, anything can be liability. Honestly, if your short-term rental insurance is pretty strong, they'll write a check for you. If a guest sues you for slip, fall, drowning, whatever.
I tripped and now I'm emotionally damaged kind of deal. You
So
know they do that.
yeah. Short-term rental insurance covers it.
Okay.
And also, biggest thing was understanding where to put your cameras is also very important, not to invade anyone's privacy. And yeah, I love having pools and hot tubs, but we put a lot of strict, um, like what do you call? We put uh, swim at your own risk, all those boards to protect ourselves, and depth marks near the pool, how deep is it, and putting buoy ring close to, if anything happens they can pull. A lot of
Right.
people die from drowning, especially in states like Arizona, California, and all these places. And yeah, having, following what they say, and also have it recorded in your Airbnb with pictures, and also in your description mentioning about we are not liable for any damages, anything drowning, your own um, responsible. Children must be under adult supervision. So all these rules and regulations, if you put, have those pictures and record them on your listing, so Airbnb has it time stamped at that, in the worst case scenario you're well protected. And with my insurance, it's so good is that some of the insurances, what they do is, if a guest books from 10th December to 15th December, and if that happen, they want to make sure only that certain time period, if it happens, they cover, type of thing. But with my insurance, it doesn't matter. All year round, any issues happen with liability, they cover you and write the check.
So make sure when you get your insurance, you have that coverage where they're a little more flexible
They're
on
more
coverage.
flexible. They cover everything, liabilities and stuff. People put. I see crazy things. People putting hot tubs on the deck. That's crazy. I saw that in Gatlinburg and stuff. What if it fall? It can happen.
Of course.
Also, you have to make sure these insurance don't cover just because you put hot tub and stuff. You have to make sure you get an engineer to go and ride it or something like that. Even when you put pack and play crib, high chairs, you can't just get them from Amazon because that could be liability for the kids. You have to make sure pack and play is fine, but high chairs and stuff, these are things you have to be very careful. Anything you're putting in the house, especially the liability ones, you have to talk with short-term rental insurance provider for you. And also, huge thing, the stairs. A lot of houses have stairs and stuff. If you don't put handrails, that's a liability. So make sure you put handrails, probably on the both sides, or talk with your provider. Get them in picture. Put that on your listing. Send it to your insurance provider. Any updates, any changes you're making, always send it to your insurance so it is recorded.
So, moral of the story, at the end of the day, you can't just throw something online and
Right.
make money. You have to be dedicated, you have attention to details,
Right.
and stay on top of everything. It's a full-time job, it
Yeah,
seems like.
especially when you're trying to segue towards direct booking and stuff, you want these guys to help you out. If you're doing Airbnb and booking.com and stuff. And especially I want to hammer on one thing, booking.com. I don't want to say anything about it, but you got to be very careful what type of people you're allowing into the house. Even through Airbnb, booking.com and Vrbo, I have certain applications or software where we do guest verification.
Interesting.
So they have to go through guest verification. That means they don't have any. It means like a background check on this guest. I have had a couple of guests. Later, I really realized I don't want to say a specific platform where the guests end up doing a lot of misdemeanors and stuff. They have
Criminal
bad
history.
criminal history. So every guest now has to do a background verification, damage waiver, deposit waiver. It's just $35. I use Superhog. A lot of things are coming way low. So I highly recommend go to short-term rental networking events or real estate networking events. People are not going to those. It opens so many doors for you. I've learned so many things by going to those events.
Perfect. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, or maybe they might have a few questions, or maybe they might have some deals to bring your ways, how did they get a hold of you? Where did they find you?
I don't want to give my number out, but
You have Instagram.
yeah, I know, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
You can reach out to me on Instagram. It's cart.airbnbcoach, KART.airbnbcoach. We're still upgrading our website. Yeah,
Perfect.
Instagram would be the best option as of now.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming out today. I think we've unpacked a lot, and sounds like there was a lot of helpful information for the listeners, and hopefully they'll learn a thing or two now.
Right. I
and
would love
takes
to
and
end
stuff.
with people who are investing in real estate and short-term rental investments. You got to also work on your mindset.
100%.
Mindset is extremely important for any success. I always try to work out every day too, at least home workouts and stuff. Go for a run or something. If your body is in great condition, your mind also works in great condition. I think I would leave it with that.
Yeah, perfect. That's a perfect way to finish it up. Thank you so much for
Thank you very
coming out
much.
here.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show so far.
Yeah.